I would imagine Georgia Tech learned from that as much as anything what they need to do to get ready and what not to do. I mean, without being in their building and knowing, I would imagine they approached that bowl prep maybe a little bit like we did in '02, where they probably didn't put as much into it as they would have liked to, going back and hindsight. So I would imagine, if I had to guess, all of it, I don't know, but they're probably putting a little bit more into bowl prep this year. They have some more time, just like us, to prepare as as comparison to last year's bowl when they played up in Atlanta. So I would imagine that they probably learned something from their bowl experiences last year.
I've always wanted to ask you, why is outside linebacker the quiet position in the Iowa's defense? And when I say quiet, I don't mean that.
I know what you mean. It's our defense is kind of built for our inside guys and our safeties to kind of make the plays. The outside linebacker, just kind of in theory, is kind of an edge defender, is kind of the outside guy to force it all back in, which seems pretty mundane and a moot point. But if you can do it the right way, you can still find a way to make some plays out there, I guess.
So you spent the last 2 years making Agger look good? Is that
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's what my job is, to set him up, him and Sash. So they both owe me dinner. I'm still waiting on that one.
So they can get all those sweet assists and tackles, right?
Yeah.
You guys joke about.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't think Pat's had a solo all year.
Trouble. But that's it's a good thing though when your position is done well. No one notices you. I mean that's.
Yeah, I mean I would compare it almost to maybe like a D lineman, an interior tackle. That if you just do your job, people aren't really going to notice it. And then whenever you kind of do your job and make some plays thereafter, people do kind of take notice. But when you mess it up, people also notice that pretty quickly as well. So it's kind of similar to a long snapper, that kind of thing. But it's just part of the defense. That's the assignment and the job the role I'm put into. And I figured out pretty early on that you can't try to make too many plays out there, or else you're going to bust stuff pretty quick, and then there's going to be mistakes that are based on what I've done. So I learned that and bought into the system pretty early on with Coach Parker and Coach Wilson, and luckily it's worked out pretty well for me.
Is there I think when you assumed the position, there was a lot of bitching about linebackers covering wide receivers by fans, and people noticing that. That's gone away. I haven't heard. And I know that's part of your job.
Yeah, that's something that the coaches ask of the position that we play. It's not just me; it's the position we play.
Right.
Whenever I leave next year, assuming it'll be Nielsen, I'll ask the same thing of him. And so that's just kind of the nature of the beast, and that's the defense we run. And I'm just try to do the best I can out there. And if I wasn't getting the job done, they'd put somebody out there that could. But I've tried to pride myself on not being the weak link if they do put receivers out there, and try to take advantage of me covering those guys, and just try to do my best to neutralize them, knowing that occasionally they are going to have some plays just by being better athletes, that kind of stuff.
So you came in pretty prepared to do this because your dad played at Indiana, right?
Right.
And so you've had a pretty smooth ride. What have you learned from all this? What do you take away from it?
From just my 4 years?
Yeah.
Oh man, I think the one quote that I heard early on from Coach Parker that kind of sums up what I've learned in my time here is that a boy does what he wants to, and a man does what he has to. And that I heard it early and didn't really comprehend it and grasp it until kind of down the road a little bit. Because you think you're doing all the right stuff, and you think you're doing plenty, and then you kind of look back and you look at yourself in the mirror, and you're critical of yourself, and you say, there's probably more I can be doing, and there's probably stuff that I could probably be cutting out and not placing priorities on. And so once that kind of sunk in and hit home with me, that's kind of when everything kind of started to fall in line.
Do you? How much has your dad helped you with that? Gotten you through. And I know he's a superintendent.
Superintendent,
right?
Yeah, and he's helped a lot. There's been times that especially younger when I was playing as a sophomore, and even as a little bit as a freshman, I'd call him a few times and say, hey, you were a Division I athlete. There's some rough. After a rough day or something like that, just talk to him and just kind of, for lack of a better term, just bitch a little bit. And he knew that there'd be times when I'd do that and just have somebody to listen to and let me complain for a little bit and kind of go from there. So he's helped a lot, and my family in general has, with especially my dad.